£5 discount on my holiday versus a £60 fine, I'm going to go for the £60
You'll suffer the fine.
Yeah.
Let's not forget the other huge absence that children had recently during COVID. Schools were closed for months and months on end. Online learning was really not making up for that. So how can, it's very difficult for the government to say it was fine for us to take your kids out of school for months, but if you take them off for a few days to go to Disneyland, then you are the worst parent ever and you should
But also,
be...
it's the pandemic that caused some of the problems with absenteeism now.
Absolutely.
Because the mental health issues that some of these children now have.
And there are tens of thousands of children, they call them ghost children, that have simply disappeared from the school register. So it would be nice. It's really, really scary situation. I'm not saying that the government is, taking great measures.
Well, I think one of their plans is to have a national register, which would help with that.
Which would definitely help. But I think they can't deal with the real problem, so they're going after actually perfectly, decent parents who are just taking the odd day off, to save money, frankly.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, every Sunday at 9:30 when I'll be interviewing the key players in British politics and taking them to task.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial.
With an upcoming election looming over Westminster, now is the time for clear, honest answers.
I agree.
And that's precisely what I'll get.
Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's election channel.
Good evening, it's 11 o'clock. You're with GB News. I'm Polly Middlehurst, and the top story tonight. Thousands of women born in the 1950s may be eligible for compensation after a new report found the Department for Work and Pensions failed to adequately inform them that the state pension age was changing back in 2010. The Parliamentary and Health Service Ombudsman looked at their cases and the potential injustices resulting from the decision to raise the women's retirement age to bring it in line with men. The Women Against State Pension Inequality campaign, or WASPI as it's known for short, is suggesting there should now be compensation of about £10,000 per woman, claiming that the women weren't properly warned about the changes. Now, the Work and Pensions Secretary is warning that Britain's acceptance of a mental health culture has gone too far now. Speaking as he unveiled plans to get 150,000 people back to work, Mel Stride said today that the benefits bill was being pushed up by a sharp increase in the number of people who are on long-term sickness benefit. In an interview with The Telegraph, he suggested an increase in public focus talking about mental health had led some people to self-diagnose conditions. It comes as the UK's welfare bill is set to hit £100 billion this year. Number 10 said today it's dealing with a migration emergency after a record number of asylum seekers crossed the English Channel yesterday. 514 illegal migrants were picked up by Border Force officials. That's the highest daily number so far this year. And today, at least another 300 migrants crossed the Channel in 6 small boats. The government says it hopes to get its Rwanda bill into law by April the 18th. And the Home Secretary, James Cleverly, underlined the government's determination to stop the boats. iPhone maker Apple has been accused in the US courts today of monopolising the smartphone market. In the case against Apple, brought by the US Justice Department, it alleged the company used its control of the iPhone to illegally limit competitors and consumer options. Apple denies the claims and has vowed to vigorously fight the claim. Now, a paralysed man has appeared to play chess online after receiving a brain chip from Elon Musk's company Neuralink. A video posted online shows a patient who has no movement below his shoulders moving a cursor across a laptop screen with nothing but his thoughts. The video shows him playing chess and turning off the laptop's music. 29-year-old Nolan Darbo, who was paralysed after a driving accident, is the first patient to receive the Neuralink chip. That's the news. For the latest stories, do sign up to GB News Alerts. Scan the QR code on your screen or go to gbnews.com/alerts. Time now for Headliners.
Hello and welcome to Headliners, your one-stop shop for tomorrow's news, softened by laughter. I'm Josh Howie, and I'm joined this evening by Beauty and the Beast. That's just Lewis Schaefer. And we also have Nick Dixon. How are you both?
I like that introduction, the Beauty and the Beast. I'm doing very well, thank you for asking.
I see you went with the yellow.
I did go with the yellow. I was planning on going with the yellow. I put it out on Facebook asking people what they think, but I've already made my decision.
Nick, you look bemused?
No, I'm
angry?
thrilled, happy to be in another show with Lewis, happy to be in all the horrible photos.
So you're the person who has to actually explain the stories?
Yeah, be the straight man. It's a thankless task.
I know.
Do you know what? I am so good with Nick. I love Nick, and...
He's not good with me at all.
Go and find some clips on YouTube. You'll have a good evening. Right, let's have a quick look at the front pages. First of all, we have the Daily Mail. New betrayal of waspy women. Telegraph, sickness benefits bill to rise by a third. Guardian, US toughens stance to call for immediate Gaza ceasefire. Express, pay up. Millions of women are owed pension payouts. iNews, waspy women demand help from Labour. And finally, the Daily Star, Dumbos. And those are your front pages. Right, let's go a little bit more in depth with the Mirror, Lewis.
It's the Mirror, but it's on all the major things because this is a crime against, I guess, I was going to say humanity, crime against women.
But women are human.
Well, they...
Not in your eyes, but...
I think they're more human than us. One of us, men or women, one of us is human and one of us is not. Let's decide that they're human.
Men are from Mars.
Yeah.
Women are from...
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying they are human and we...
Okay.
It's better to say that they are human.
We're superhuman.
I'd like to invite some female comics to come on this show. We have asked many.
It's weird I don't like it.
No, I was saying something nice. I'm saying they're human. I'm saying I'm not human. Anyway...
I wonder what the story is.
Would you... I'm trying to get to the story. You kept on interrupting me. This is this women against state pension inequality, and this is it's called WASPy, and they've been fighting for years and years and years, and they has the reporters come down saying they should be given £3,000, which isn't enough money. I don't know why they deserve any money. I think they deserve money because the pension age was supposed to be 60 for them because they were ladies, and then they...
I thought you were about to say they're lazy.
And, well, they want to work late. They made the pension age the same as men, which is...
Disgusting. How dare they treat men and women?
Yeah, which is equality. But in the process of this, and Nick is going to explain this, how they lost money. I don't know how they lost money.
Isn't the story really the gist of how they actually communicated this so that women have lost out because they weren't able to plan properly ahead of time?
They were misled, and that is the big case. They were misled about this change that they weren't properly informed was coming, hence they couldn't probably prepare. They retired too early, they lose their pensions, and it is a scandal. Now we've got to find all this money to give them, and it's a big problem because no one's got it. So
it'd be like 10 billion, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So... But as Lewis says, of course, I mean, it is more complicated because, well, not more complicated, but the age was already 65. So in a way, this was just equality.
Yeah.
My thing is, I think I'm happy to pay back the money from Josh's taxes, but me and Lewis identify as misogynists, so he shouldn't have to.
I see.
Because it goes against our religion.
Well, Lewis, you're technically retired, aren't you?
Yeah, I am retired. It is. I don't know whether I'm allowed to say that or not. They may come after me. But, yeah, because I'm old. I'm 67. I don't look old. I look amazing. Look how great I look. And this is an amazing tie. It's an Austin Reed.
You do that.
You're 67.
67.
That's incredible, isn't it?
I'm 66. I'll be 60.
If I could remember that, I might be more tolerant.
nice.
Treat him with respect.
With stage 3 kidney liver...
Very quickly before we move on,
Yeah.
and maybe I'll go to Nick for this, for a comprehensive answer. They're talking about more targeted compensation for the women who have actually lost out. Rather than just blanket chucking between 3 and 10 grand, they're saying, do you think that that's the way to go, or do you think it's easier just to put a certain amount of money?
That's too targeted, isn't it? It was yours, really.
Okay, let's get back to Lewis. Insult women more, Lewis.
No, is he saying you didn't read the story the entire thing?
I mean, I read enough of it. It's just, the self-employed get nothing. So I say give them nothing.
OK, right. Let's move on to The Guardian, Nick.
All right, Guardian has US toughened stance to call for immediate Gaza ceasefire. And the US has drafted a new UN Security Council resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire. And there's this pressure because of this catastrophic famine that the UN's predicting. So there's more pressure to call for this. And the Guardian here has claimed to have seen a US draft resolution that talks about an immediate and sustained ceasefire. And a European diplomat at the United Nations is saying, I think it's a shift in saying that a ceasefire is not contingent on a specific deal. So there's talk of it being contingent on hostages, but the idea is maybe that's not even contingent and they're just pushing for a ceasefire anyway. That was my reading of it anyway.
Which is ridiculous, because there are 100 hostages down there. I mean, what are you going to do? Are they fighting? Or if they gave up the hostages, do you think there'd be a change in maybe Israel's position on this? Possibly there would be, but there's still 100 hostages. These people are the Gaza people. I should leave the acrimony.
Well, you know, still over 70% on recent polling, like the other day, basically says that Gazans still support Hamas and Hamas's actions.
And they're still fighting. And they're still fighting. If you
surrender, and Hamas is still fighting from within the population.
And so they must have enough energy to fight.
Two things very much upset me, apart from that there are civilians who are needlessly being killed because of this. Number one is that they're saying for Israel to let in as much humanitarian aid as is needed or whatever. The fact is, twice the amount of food is going in at present. The problem isn't Israel letting the food in, and they're sort of trying to frame it that that's the problem. The other problem is that today, and by the way, when they're talking about the UN who released, they're saying there could be an imminent famine, and when's it hitting? July. So that's what they taught. There is another report that came out today about 700,000 Sudanese children who are in famine right now.
Remember, comedy program. Comedy program.
No, is that on the front page? Is that on the front page of any single newspaper?
Let's make it funny.
Because it's got no Jews in it.
I changed my mind. But the point is you are right, Josh. You are right. But the biggest problem is that you feel, in a way, I feel bad for the Gazans. They're a completely demoralized, crazed. They've been locked in this kind of thing.
A cycle of hate.
In a cycle of hate.
All right. Well, let's see. Let's go on to the Daily Telegraph. It's Lewis.
Was I sympathetic?
No, you weren't at all.
No, I should be sympathetic to because this is a horrible situation. I got a little carried away. I felt I was like you for a second.
No, no.
Anyway, so this is.
No one wants that.
No. You know what? This is a comedy, brother. It's our...
For 1 second, it wasn't a comedy show. Let's get back to the comedy.
Yeah, OK, good. We're getting back
Sickness
to the
benefits to ride by a third. Comedy. Go, Lewis.
Yeah, well, this is, I don't know how comedy. This is one of those things that says we're spending too much money on people who don't deserve it. And what happened with the COVID thing, more and more people... Some people think that more and more people don't deserve it. Those people, this guy Mel Stride said that. He's a Conservative Party guy.
I don't think that's really what he was saying, though, was it? It seemed like, Nick, what he was saying was that mental health, the focus on mental health has kind of gone too far now.
Which is saying they don't deserve it.
OK, well...
Yeah, we kind of covered this the other night. I was saying that because Mel Stride has to foot the bill, he's like, guys, can we chill out? He's saying that the normal anxieties of life are being labelled as illnesses. So you'll expect to see in the future lots of pamphlets from this department saying things like, why you should learn to walk it off and things like that.
Just bottle it up.
Yeah, bottle it up, walk it off, stiff upper lip. It's coming back because we don't have the money anymore and we can't afford it. So, we can't get rid of the welfare system entirely because they'll be fighting on the streets. Everyone will have to arm themselves. So we're going to have to just cut down on fake illnesses, is what he's saying, basically. In some cases, I'm sure it will be cruel and inhumane. In some cases, it will be the right thing to do.
Well, let the private sector handle crazy people, like here at Headliners.
Well, we're heading towards a situation where the overall benefits bill, now that's including state pension, housing support, is going to be about 11% of our total economic output. Now, that does not seem sustainable.
Yeah.
Bonkers. We should be 90% NHS. And then just 10% Lewis's private medical bills.
Sorry, we'll get to your pal Owen Jones in the...
Oh, yeah, I love Owen.
All right, finally, let's end on the Daily Star, Nick.
So Daily Star actually got a significant story this week. It's tonight, sorry. It's Dumbo's, and it's Botswana threatens to send over 10,000 elephants to live in London's Hyde Park. And the Daily Star, for one, says bring it on. But it's actually quite an important story because it's about the hunting trophies prohibition bill, which sort of sounds good if you're sort of against trophy hunting, but the problem is...
If you like elephants.
Yes, but the problem is it could lead to loss of habitat, it could lead to poaching, it's going to lead to African villagers not getting meat, money and jobs from safari hunts. So it's one of these virtue-signalling bills that sounds good. But and the other factor they point out, which is what the headline refers to, is that they have so many elephants. Even though we like elephants, they seem nice, they can paint, they can do cool things with their trunk, they can take your hat off and they're funny, but they see them as a sort of pest, as we might see deer or something like that or whatever. Although we like deer as well. And the guy is saying here, I want Britons to have a taste of living alongside elephants. Yeah. He said, who wouldn't want that? Which are overwhelming my country. Just a taste.
But he said in some places there are more beasts than people. And it's like, isn't that the
He's
jungle
more
and the,
peaceful.
Yeah,
the
maybe they
natural
should-
habitats and
Yeah.
whatnot? It's like, that's fair enough. We kind of want that in some of those places.
Well, we're just getting to enjoy migrants. And so this is a new kind of migrant.
Oh, do you
would
think that this get over some elephants and whatnot?
Yeah, small boats full of elephants.
Also,
Full
they
of
do say
elephants.
we don't want colonial
Could go wrong.
interference from Britain, so there's a sort of racist threat
Oh, there's
there.
that,
A little bit of
Yeah.
that. Just showing, you can see the newspaper behind you two, but there is a picture at the very back there, I don't know if you've noticed, of Lee Anderson and Nigel Farage,
yeah.
for some reason.
Well,
a
they're
little
saying,
dig there, I think.
I
They
hadn't
say we'll
seen that.
defo have them if you take Nigel Garage at 30p Lee and Biggles in return.
Oh, I see. That's
who's
what it-
Biggles?
Don't know.
Is that the
He's got a-
historian?
he's got a
Nigel
helicopter.
Bigger, respected historian.
I don't know, is that
Or
Richie?
it the
He
actual-
uses
Is it the
helicopters.
actual Biggles? They were the original one.
Well, the Daily Star is getting
Is that Rishi?
incredibly political.
Is that Rishi in his helicopter?
Yeah,
possibly,
It's Rishi
yeah.
in his helicopter.
Well, there we go. That's the front pages shown whose boss will continue to dominate in the next section with Owen Jones and absent children. That could basically be the same story. See you in 2.
Nana Queer. Weekends from 3 p.m.
Should we put tobacco-style warnings on ultra-processed foods? Boris Johnson is calling on the government to do this. In his Daily Mail column, the former Prime Minister says that people don't know what they're feeding their families and there's too many extra ingredients. That's why I'm asking, should we put tobacco-style warnings on ultra-processed food? Well, joining me now to discuss, Steve Miller, former presenter of Fat Families, Helena Davidson, campaigner and policy expert at the Vegan Society. Right, so I'm going to start with you. Steve Miller, what do you think?
Oh, I'm applauding Boris today. Good on you, mate. And the reason for that is we know that the research on the warnings on cigarettes, I should say, when those warnings were visual, they worked very well. The second reason on a practical level is that we need to stop looking and listening before we start, grazing and putting things in the trolley. And the third thing is that, these kind of signs, or these warnings, I should say, are kind of hypnotic. They trigger the emotion. So they're much more likely to get people to think and maybe resist.
Yeah, so at the Vegan Society, we're broadly in favour of increasing consumer knowledge when it comes to the nutritional value of people's food. But I think it's important to mention that ultra-processed food isn't an issue that's exclusive to vegans. And whilst most meat alternatives will fall into the ultra-processed food category, it largely depends on how we're going to look at how UPFs are going to be assessed, because vegan alternatives that fall under ultra-processed foods, they're actually on average healthier than meat products or ultra-processed foods that contain animal products.
Really?
So I think it depends on how we look at it. We might have to take a closer look at the nutritional profile of individual foods rather than the level of processing.
I think the most exciting bit for me is talking to people.
People who I think are ignored often by the major news channels. We're going to give news they want to hear. There's a voice there that needs to be heard. I think there's a chance here for a diversity of opinion to be expressed, which you don't find elsewhere. It's really exciting.
We don't hold back. We're free to say how decisions that are taken here
affect us all around the country. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'd much rather hear what you have to say. So, send in your opinions to gbviews@gbnews.com. Keep them clean, and you never know, I might read them out. With my panel here on Jubes & Co, we debate, we get stuck into the issues of the day on a show where all views are welcome, especially yours. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Yeah, Lewis, we're not going to mention your girlfriend, all right? Anyway, welcome back to Headliners. Tomorrow's newspaper is delivered without actually having to read anything. I'm Josh Howie. With me is menopausal sex symbol Lewis Schaefer, and we have the alt-right hottie Nick Dixon. Is that all right? Is it all right? I didn't know if that's a bad... Is that bad?
That's bad. I'm
what
a
are you?
centrist.
Centre-right. Centre-right.
Yeah.
OK, sorry, I don't even know what alt-right means, to be honest.
It means like a really bad slur.
OK,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean it as a slur. I just thought... I didn't know how you self-identified anymore.
It means the Overton window has changed. He is really right-wing, but the Overton window...
It's complicated, that term, because it doesn't mean what people think it means.
No.
Yeah.
I've just been using it how I don't even
It's
know
like
what it
me
is.
calling you a Zionist. Oh, except that's
a good thing.
It's just
mate.
what you
I
are.
am
It's
as
not
well.
like that.
Very
No, it's
proud
not
of
like that at all.
Bad example. Right, let's go to the Daily Mail. And Nick, what's your doppelganger? Doppelbanger?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
It could be a doppelbanger. What's your doppelganger going on about now?
My
Do you
mate
see
Owen.
him as like a sort of a...
Oh, yeah, I like Owen. You know, he's got a lot of integrity, smart guy. So this is Owen Jones. Quits Labour to back new socialist pressure group, swiping that Keir Starmer shuns anyone to the left of Peter Mandelson. As leader reveals he talks to Tony Blair a lot, which doesn't surprise anyone. So instead of being Labour, Owen Jones has left Labour and he's going to be in a part of a pressure group called We Deserve Better, which is kind of perfectly entitled sounding organisation. And his argument is they're going to win anyway, so we're not going to let the Tories in, it's safe, but we can pressure them come the next election to, quote, back an alternative based on the politics of hope. So he's annoyed about austerity measures, Israel's war crimes, his words, not mine.
No,
Tories getting back... that's the thing about Tories not getting back to government. Sorry, I'm repeating myself. But it's quite interesting because I saw an interview a while ago with Owen Jones and Peter Hitchens, and Owen was saying how, you know, nothing he really wants has been enacted. And I was thinking, I feel like I live in Owen's world, like we live in a sort of leftist woke world. But in Owen's world, nothing he wants has actually happened. So he's
Here's the difference. The Tories are in power. That's the big difference. So to blame Keir Starmer for not implementing, doing the bare minimum to improve people's lives, he's not in power. He's got to get into power to actually make some change. So it's a ridiculous complaint.
But just lastly, just to finish my point, so that Owen doesn't say I'm misrepresenting him. To be fair to him, he's saying that, you know, it's a Blairite, Starmer's a Blairite, neoliberal, and he's not going to enact Owen's agenda. And of course, there is an argument. I think Owen should probably be more just wait though, because if you look at Blair. He was more radical. He was radical. He just did it in a clever way. And if you look at Starmer, his background is a Pabloite, which is a subset of Trotskyism. What he will do is get in and probably do all this leftist stuff in secret. He's just not telling you yet, Owen. You know, so he's being a bit tactical.
You know what? That's actually genuinely what I believe, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous of Owen to do is sort of flouncing off like this. Because I mean, is he actually doing Labour and Keir Starmer a favour?
It doesn't matter. They're going to win so badly. He is actually doing them a favour because he's making more moderate people of the rightish side go for Keir Starmer. He's playing into. He's basically if Keir Starmer might have to pay him money to do what he's doing. So yes, he is. He's doing Keir Starmer a favour by saying Keir Starmer is not bat poo crazy like Owen Jones.
Yeah, well, and also he's been sniping Keir Starmer for years.
That's an excellent point. Why don't you say that that's an excellent point?
I didn't understand it.
Because Owen Jones is being so crazed left.
He's making Starmer look better.
He's making Starmer look better. So all the mass of the people on the right...
But, Lewis, that was basically the question. That's what I said to you, really, as a question, but that was the statement I was making.
In a broader sense, this just shows where we're going.
Can you make me look good?
We're going to have two parties in the middle, this uni party in the middle, the Tories and Labour, both basically left sort of parties with bits of wokeness, and then polarised. We're going to be polarised in terms of what the people actually want between right and left, and this is part of that trend.
Yeah, right. And just to go to one point before we move on, what you were saying there, as you say, yes, that he's keeping 250,000 children in poverty. Well, he's not in power, so he can't do anything about it. Or backing the Labour leader who defends Israel's war crimes. Israel hasn't. Number one, I would say Israel hasn't committed war crimes, but number two, I would say more importantly, why is that the number two agenda for an imminent prime minister? And why is he listing that as like number two? That is the problem here. The UK want people who are actually going to deal with problems within the UK.
Yeah, so the more Keir Starmer says that I'm not going to do that, the more everybody else goes along with Keir Starmer.
Right, on to The Guardian. And Lewis, I guess there's no reason for pedos to hang outside schools anymore.
Record numbers of pupils, in a way, that's all on the internet. Record numbers of pupils in England absent for long periods. Department for Education, sorry.
DFE?
DFE.
It was sitting right there in front of you.
No, I knew that. I was making a joke.
I apologise.
I was making a joke
by helping
I think I've been on the show for too long. They should find me ready.
This is your last one.
And it probably it feels like it's my last one. I'm going to say something horrible. Anyway.
You're retiring. Do you not know? You've got a pension and everything. We've got you a pension.
Thank you very much. Thank you, British government.
I bought you a mug, by the way.
Anyway, thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Did you buy a mug?
Yeah, goodbye mug.
I forgot to bring you a mug.
Still on live TV.
Anyway, I forgot to bring him a mug.
Okay, can we get to the story?
Anyway,
let's do the story about more children not going to school and basically ruining all of our futures.
It says that more and more kids are not going to school, but this actually says that the number of people who've been not going to school has gone down from 22% to 21%. So it's a lie. The whole article is a lie because it says the number of people classified as persistently absent, that's out of school for 10% or more, fell compared to 2021 and 22, from 22% to 21%.
Yeah, no, I mean...
so it's gone down. So this is not news.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. It's exactly one of those stories where they misrepresent what it's really about. But the most worrying element for me, Nick, is this thing about the pupils on free school meals are twice as likely to be absent than their peers. Now, this just widens the gap of inequality.
Yeah. Can I just say, that bit where Lewis was talking about his mugs was such bad television. I started thinking, Hope Not Hate was right about us just for a second. It was so bad. But I thought I was having a flashback to Vietnam.
Let the people decide if
quickly,
it's bad.
It was an in-joke.
But Josh, it is lockdowns, though, isn't it? I mean, the pre-COVID stats were very different. We do accept that. They say COVID, I say lockdown. We agree on that.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Exactly. But I mean, but forgetting what's to blame, what I'm saying is that this is a real problem, and it's a real problem certainly for the kids on free school meals.
Yeah.
Even more so.
And a lot of kids having problems. A woman that I know, who I might live with, she works with kids, and she says there's a really big problem out there. So it's something, I don't know how to address it. The labor, this is basically a puff piece for labor. It says that they want to spend more money, but that's all they want to do.
And a little shout out to Rose there. Nick, that's
Can
Friday's
you not
Times.
mention...
Nick, what's Friday's Times saying about your representative of Jesus on Earth?
Oh, yeah, good old Welby. So Justin Welby criticises diocese over ad for deconstructing whiteness officers. So you may recall there was this ridiculous advert, Diocese of Birmingham. It came out in Birmingham. It was deconstructing whiteness. Everyone said, what's this about? There was backlash and outrage. And so what Welby did, he's told Times Radio, he called them up and said, what are you on about? No one will know what that term means. Why are we using this? It's a strange technical term we're using, and we shouldn't be doing it. I think, personally, a bit cynical maybe, but I think this is Welby just getting ahead of a backlash, or not really getting ahead, but mopping it up later, saying, oh, I was nothing to do with this. And he took a moment off posting about Ramadan to call up and say, guys, what are you doing? Oh, I didn't want this at all. But I did learn a new thing here, that people actually call him Woke Welby, which I didn't know, and I'm going to use from now on. It's a great...
And he's proud of it as well.
Yeah.
It's a Trumpian-like to Woke Welby. We call him Woke, folks. It's one of those... It's a great nickname, isn't it?
Well, and he proved he was this way, because he calls up his people and he says, can we please do things in English? Which is totally offensive to say. And then he said something which was shocking to me, which was, he was asked if they'd been letting asylum seekers convert to Christianity on an industrial scale, which is like...
But he said there was no evidence of it.
There was no evidence. That's what
watch GBNews.
But that's what a criminal would say. A criminal would say, did you kill that person? There's no evidence of that.
It's ridiculous. He's totally woke. He has a slight responsibility to the global church, so occasionally he has to sound not completely woke. But we know he is completely woke from everything else he always does. It's in his name, Woke Welby.
No, Woke Welby,
Also, just to sort of, for Ofcom purposes, just to counter something you said, people do know what a deconstructing whiteness officer is, and that would be a deconstructing whiteness officer. That person would know what it is.
Yes, they would definitely know.
That's
and they would deconstruct the heck out of those white people.
Get their job title sorted. Finishing on the Times and some homophobia in Scotland, Lewis.
Yeah, good news. Good news. Actually, no, I'm not going to go back there because they have this new law, which you'd probably discussed another time when I wasn't here. But Scottish Parliament bans rainbow lanyards over bias fears. So this has to do with the people who work at the Parliament there, not the MP, in Holyrood, at that fake Parliament that they have up there, pretending that they're another country, which they're not another country. They're just a part of this country. Unfortunately, I love Scotland.
Ofcom purposes, I should say, Scotland exists.
It exists, but is it a country? Is Wales a country? No, they're not. It's not.
Wales is Scotland, isn't it?
They don't. Yeah, Wales is not. Anyway,
do Northern Ireland. Let's just see how you get on with that.
Oh my God, I am so offensive because I can sense you're toning down the offensiveness. So I'm
not
like,
toning down. I just want you to get the flag.
Yeah, I'm going to get the flag this time. The point is that there's a reason so that they can't wear like gay pride or trans flag lanyards. They can't wear anything political because they work for the Scottish.
Yeah, and they're meant to be seen as impartial.
And they're meant to be seen. But the point is that these people are so deep up the left's butt that they don't need to wear a lanyard. They're working there.
Well, did you see the other thing as well? That they've said they can continue wearing a pronoun pin or badge which completely undermines the whole thing. It's saying just so that non-binary employers should feel safe to be true to who they are.
Yeah.
But that's ideological in itself, because, of course, they're very wearing and accepting of pronouns, says that you're on the side, you're not on the gender-critical side, you're not on the conservative side, so that in itself undermines the whole premise.
I would say that's even more undermines the whole premise is the fact that SMPs members are actually allowed to wear it. So it's only like the security staff or people who work in the canteen. They're not allowed to wear those lanyards, but actual MPs are allowed to.
Really?
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. So
no, I don't think that's not
they're still allowed to wear it, so it shows that they are.
No, that's no, because an MP, the MP is not an employee of the Scottish Parliament. They're independently
Yeah, but the whole, they're
elected.
trying to say we're trying to prove how impartial we are.
Because they should know. You're wrong.
Okay,
It's the Parliament itself has employees that they have to and they can't tell an SMP.
Yeah, but the security staff aren't making the decisions for Scotland, right?
Yeah.
It's the
and they are allowed to have a political opinion, but when you work there, you shouldn't be able to have a political. But of course,
all lanyards should be banned in Scotland.
Well, anybody who has a lanyard, there's something about a lanyard that's horrific.
People are like, oh, I've got into an event or something. They wear them, and like they think it's cool that they got backstage or something.
Yeah.
That's who wears lanyards. You know what I mean? There's different lanyards.
No, totally. I've got my GB News. I
took the lanyard off of mine.
Yeah. Not because I'm afraid, ashamed of GB News, but it's like I don't want to be. I'm not a lanyard person.
No.
So I disagree with you.
Right,
let's take.
I agree with Josh.
Yay! We're at the halfway point.
Do you agree with me?
In the next section,
Lewis Schaefer.
2 stories about people. Come on back.
If you agree with me,
please, director. 2 stories about getting people cross about cross, and Sheffield goes commie. See you there.
Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. Good evening to you. Tomorrow will feel colder for all of us. A bit of a damp start in the south and then a mixture of sunshine and showers. Low pressure is dominating, but it's actually sitting up by Iceland. But these weather fronts draped across the UK. This one in particular is doing a couple of things, bringing cloud and rain, but also introducing the colder air. The rain will trickle southwards through this evening across northwest England and Wales. A fairly soggy evening, and that rain spreading into the Midlands and southwest England by the end of the night. The far southeast staying mostly dry, staying pretty mild here, but colder air is arriving across the north. A chillier start here and very gusty winds through the night and indeed for most of Friday, particularly across northern Scotland, but also into the west coast of Scotland. Blustery showers, some snow over the Highlands. Showers elsewhere for southern Scotland, Northern Ireland. A dull, damp morning across the southeast, and the rain may linger in Kent well into the afternoon. But elsewhere, it will brighten up. We'll see some sunny spells, but it will feel colder. Temperatures only in single figures across the north, maybe 11 or 12 further south, quite a bit chillier than it has been through this week. A cold feeling start to the weekend as well. We may start Saturday dry and bright, but the cloud will bubble up and expect showers on Saturday. Some heavy downpours, rumbles of thunder, hail showers possible as well. And look at the numbers for Saturday. After being in the teens for most of this week, single digits for many of us, it is going to feel a lot chillier.
2024, a battleground year.
The year the nation decides.
As the parties gear up their campaigns for the next general election.
Who will be left standing when the British people make one of the biggest decisions of their lives?
Who will rise?
And who will fall?
Let's find out together.
For every moment, the highs, the lows, the twists and turns.
We'll be with you for every step of this journey.
In 2024, GB News is Britain's election channel.
I'm Christopher Hope.
And I'm Gloria Di Piero, bringing you
PMQ's live here on GB News.
Whenever Parliament is in session on a Wednesday at midday, we'll bring you live coverage of Prime Minister's questions. We'll be asking our viewers and listeners to submit the questions that they would like to put to the Prime Minister, and we'll put that to our panel of top politicians in our Westminster studio.
That's PMQ's live here on GB News, Britain's election channel.
GB News is the home of free speech. We were created to champion it, and we deliver it day in, day out.
Free speech allows us all to explore and debate openly the issues most important to us, our families, and of course, the British people.
Having challenging conversations to enlighten each other.
Which is why we hear all sides of the argument.
We are the People's Channel.
We will always stand by the freedom to express yourself.
On TV, radio and online.
This is GB News,
Britain's news channel.
No, Lewis, I'm not going to talk about that. Welcome back to Headliners. Let's get straight into Thursday's Mail, which combines your two great loves, Nick.
Yes, this is designed to make me angry. So Nike and the FA insist they will not recall England's controversial Euro 2024 kit after altering St George's Cross, as they claim new strip disrupts history and honours 1966
I've never
hero.
heard that one before.
I know. Is that when you pretend there were no white people in Britain? That seems to be a lot of what happens now. Why do we want to change history? I think history should be left where it is in the past.
No, Back to the Future, I think they did a good job.
Well,
they just happy
disrupted
family.
Yeah, but then they all faded off the photograph and it was touch and go for a minute there.
Yeah, but it was worth it in the end.
Whether Marty would make it. So now there's an argument that they're trying to copy the classic colour regime of the 1966 training gear. There's an argument for that, but it's pretty tenuous. To me, they're just messing around. Obviously, we've got our backs up now. We're on the alert for anything woke.
And this was designed 2 years ago, peak woke.
It looks very woke. It's a changing of the St George's Cross to look all sort of blue and red, and one just suspects it's actually woke. But they're selling now, so they don't want to change it. It would take them months to change it. So they're saying, oh, it's an interpretation of the flag. It's a defilement of our flag. This is why I can't watch football anymore. I've had enough. That's my flag. It's not his flag. Yours is the Israel flag.
Well,
he's USA. My flag.
Yeah. No, that's not true. Mine is the British flag. I'm British.
This is the St George's Cross, the English flag.
Now, you said the British flag. Mine is the English flag. I'm pro-England. Let's go England.
Yeah.
And my kids. So I love your country.
Thank you.
You should. I'm more supportive of this country than you are.
You're not.
Because he said I'm British, and to me
English.
that's exactly. And I said that's a defilement of the British people. The truth is, you should be happy with this, with what they've done here.
Okay.
Because number one, it's still
point at me.
It's a New York thing.
It's still a cross. It's still a cross.
Don't make the cross at me. I'm not a vampire, Lewis.
It's my cross. I've changed. I've rejected. And the point is, it's a cross. So that's good news. The second thing, it's woke. And it's not something else. We're in a triangulated war. We're in a war between the right and the left, between the woke and the non-woke. And if I have a...
I wouldn't put them on left
Where's
and
the
right
triangle?
issues.
Because that's four things or arguments.
Right, I'm getting there in a
Three
second.
things is a triangle.
I'm getting there. I don't want to even mention what the other thing is. We're being...
Is it?
It's the thing. It's the other thing. And so the choice is, if I have to spend my life with wokeness.
Now you're making a...
As opposed to another religious ideology.
How many shapes can you make with your hand?
You said it to Donald Trump.
This was the stupidest explained story that we have had in 2 years.
If you just listen,
all you're doing is like you're speaking.
I can't say it directly. We have Ofcom here.
Stop doing sign language. We have a person for that.
Why don't you explain? What I'm saying is...
I don't know what you're saying.
Okay, say
do you know what I'm saying?
You're saying it's the team world death of love.
It's that. But it's...
No, what are you
No,
saying?
it's not that. There's another ideology which is permeating the world, which is coming in and may take over, okay, versus an intellectual ideology which is coming from within, which isn't what we like. So if we have a choice between...
Okay, so
I think a certain part of the dark web...
I don't know how to...
It sounded good, but it made no sense.
No, but you know what? There are people out there... There are people out there...
There are mental people out there who think that makes a lot of sense. Right, independent now. And Lewis, the troubling part of this story for you is it probably involves wheat.
It probably does, yeah. And I've been thinking about
shapes with this story.
Yeah, Iceland criticized for selling hot cross buns with tick instead of a Christian symbol. And first of all, I don't think I've had a hot cross bun once. They taste horrible. They got no sweetness to it. What is the cross?
Out of this country.
They're great.
Yeah, I don't know if they're great. Anyway, so what
is more cross erasure?
Yeah, and this is for our American viewers, because I got a lot of American viewers out there. Iceland is a dodgy shop in this. Nothing.
I would say dodgy. It's frozen food. Quite cheap.
Quite cheap. You don't go there for healthy food.
You get
anyway,
some good deals.
You might. I don't think you do. Anyway, you do. You want good. I'm not going to say where you go to, but the point is, here is the point that it's like anti-woke, and it's a woke thing. And
there are supermarkets available.
They asked the people, do they like a cross?
Never ask the people.
Especially not people who shop at it.
Both of them wanted a tick instead of a cross, so I started to put this tick. I feel like this is kind of bait for people like me, so just to get all worked up. Yeah. And Lee Anderson said something and so on. But it is awful. Lee Anderson's called it namby-pamby virtue signaling. It's much worse than that. It's anti-Christian. I mean, it's deliberately getting rid of the cross. That's not really virtue signaling, because what virtue could be being signalled there? I suppose just that you hate Christians as a virtue or something. But it's actively anti-Christian, even though you might say the hot cross bun is silly anyway, but since it is there, since it is part of our tradition, it's anti-tradition, anti-Christian nonsense. But there you go.
Yeah, but the thing is here is I think the big lesson is don't give your customers what they want. Unless it's these customers, in which case, to our viewers, I want to say that we're very angry about this story, aren't we, guys? Are you angry?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're angry, OK?
Can I think about it?
Yeah, fine.
Hope Not Hate should quote tweet this.
Yeah. Nick, The Times identifies that there are only 26 scientists in the world. Basically.
Yeah, it's Olympics transgender policy goes against science, say academics. So this is the IOC, which has been challenged by a group of 26 academics to change its policy that transgender women should not be presumed to have a physical advantage. So they maintain this absurd idea that they don't have an advantage because as long as their testosterone levels have been below a certain level for 48 months, they're allowed
the Olympics Committee maintain this.
Yeah, and they believe that. But, of course, that's not true, and these academics are pointing out that's actually...
But only 26 academics are basically stepping forward to say, by the way, you men are stronger than women.
Right,
if you beat for male people.
But I feel like many people are speaking out in general about this, and I feel like we are winning. But it's quite disturbing because boxing is one of the categories where, you know, according to the IOC, you can still basically have a man punching women, and they're saying, we leave it up to the individual sports. No, let you do what you want. Well, not really. So, but I will say we are winning this, Josh. I know you're still angry, but we're winning this. Even Starmer's admitted women's sports are a thing and you can't have men in them. There was a Pubic blogger saying, we are winning this war, and the second we do, then we can return to the greater war of getting women out of sports and into the home. But that's the second thing we don't talk about yet. We still win this war.
He hit the nail on the head. Okay, so this is the war that we were talking about. Is like women. Yeah, there's the second war, which you said, whether women should be playing sports at all.
And oh my God!
What
are you talking about?
There are people who don't. There are huge groups of people.
Afghanistan.
Yes, and they're
what? What are they doing?
They're moving. They're coming.
Coming up in the world, he's saying.
They're coming up in the world.
Many people are saying they got a point.
Yeah, they're coming up in the world. You can't say it. I'm not saying that they're wrong. I think you know what? Maybe
you are allowed to say they're wrong.
I don't think that they're wrong.
Women should play sports.
I'm just trying to not offend anyone at all. Ironically, he's offending everyone.
I mean, it's amazing that it's got to this position. It's amazing that we need scientific reports to prove somehow what could be easily shown with one image.
Or maybe people want to see men beat up women like in boxing, which is horrible.
There it is. All right. Telegraph next. Lewis, is this headline racist?
Yeah, world population to fall for the first time since the Black Death. Well, the answer is no, it's not racist. It's saying basically the truth. The truth is that population is dropping. There's nothing we can do about it, and just accept migration, which is the nice word of saying immigration, because it's not accepting migration. It's accept immigration into your country. They want you to. Nobody has a problem with migration. Nobody has a problem when you're planning on leaving. That term migration is a totally anti.
Yes. Pro-immigration.
Pro-immigration, right? And so this is an incredibly horrific puff piece written in the Lancet funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Oh, here we go. Well, conspiracy theories, but there's truth to it, right?
It's a really important story, actually, because we were sold the sort of misanthropic myth of overpopulation by, you know, the climate cult.
1960s, famous book.
The Malthusian disdain for the populace amongst our elites, which said that, you know, it's too many people. And that's catastrophic, because it turns out, lo and behold, there's not enough people. Birth rates are plummeting. It's an absolute disaster. We'll be left with, what is it? I mean, UK's birth rate is predicted to go to 1.38 in the next 25 and 7. Oh, yeah. 2.19 in 1950 will continue to decrease to 1.38 and 1.3. I mean, that's disastrous. And
No. It's only disastrous for nation states who want to maintain their ethno-unity and their borders.
Well, ultimately, it's disastrous.
It's not disastrous for the world.
Earlier, talking about this, he talks about 3 E's: ethnic continuity, economic growth, and what he calls egotism, which means he says you can choose 2 but not 3. So we have a problem where people don't want to have kids, which he's calling egotism. So if you want to so Japan maintains 2 of those. It has ethnic continuity and it has people not having many kids, but they lose the economic growth of having immigrants.
Yeah.
So in Britain, we've chosen economic growth, but we've lost any sort of what he calls ethnic continuity, which means we've had mass immigration.
Or egotism, and the fact that the people of this country have lost their faith in themselves.
Yeah.
So
that's the tragedy. People are sort of gradually suicide themselves as a species because when we have a certain level of wealth, we have fewer children, except for a few outliers. Africa, Israel, actually, I've pointed at you.
But this was the most cogent explanation of the night here. Also, I'm surprised what you didn't point out is the reason why this has all happened is because of contraception and women having opportunities for education and employment. So,
yeah.
I'm
no,
surprised
that's not. No. Yes, no.
Do you know what? That's a bizarre, sorry, Lewis.
Basically, giving choices to women has destroyed.
Well, yeah, this guy here calls it a success story, saying reflecting better, easier access to contraception, but also many women choosing to delay or have fewer children. Why is that a success story? That's been the massive problem, that women have been told, oh, have children late and so on, and it's great. Yeah. Now they find it, you know, there's problems with freezing of eggs doesn't work out that well. They've all been sold this idea, have children too late, and a lot of them can't now, and they regret it.
And I'm going to tell you something, is the number one reason why the population rate is dropping is these small little buildings, the tall buildings they're building with small little apartments where there's no room to have kids.
Even if you can afford
it, so people are being jammed into these flats.
And then, of course, we have the costs of raising children and whatnot. This is a real problem. What's interesting also about the story, before we quickly move to the break, is that we're going to be, it seems like, this is what it's saying, is that we're going to be moving to a place where we're going to be begging people to come over.
No.
This is what it seems to be saying is...
And that's what it's saying.
That's where sub-Saharan Africa is going to account for 1 in 2 of every birth. Yeah. And we are going to be begging for people to come over.
This is not... I'm interrupting you.
But that's only a temporary fix is the big problem. It's a Ponzi scheme of immigration, because then they get old and so on. And people are going to be competing, as you say, to bring in people. That can only work...
I would like to apologise to our audience for actually having a real discussion there. I apologise.
But I want to just say, it is not a... I forgot what I was going to say. But the point is that you do not have to have mass immigration. You don't have the migration. You can maintain your country smaller and smaller. You can have half the number of people in Japan or half the number of people here and still be a viable country.
Well, not economically. That's what this article...
Yes,
that's what this article is saying.
No, you can be.
Right, just the final section go, and we've saved the last 5 stories for last. Horny ghosts, horny teenagers, and pig kidneys. Calm down, Lewis.
Yeah.
See you in 2.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Now, I'm sure you have seen this video that went viral this week, and if you haven't, well, I think you're going to enjoy it. This is a firefighter leaning on a fence whilst watching a trapped driving instructor's car sink in 4 feet of floodwater. Looks very comfortable there, doesn't he? Just leaning against the fence.
Just chilling, just relaxing. There were in fact 2 Essex fire and rescue crews, an ambulance and a police car parked near the sinking vehicle, but they wouldn't enter the water because they had to wait for specialist crews who were trained for the water depth.
Well, 2 people who weren't going to sit back and watch were these 2, Jack and Danielle Price, who took it upon themselves to rescue the submerged driver. And Danielle joins us now. Very good morning to you, Danielle, and you are a hero, an absolute hero. What happened in this video? Make sense of it for us.
So we were filming in the area for our YouTube channel, and we've seen the fire brigade come through. I was actually out at 5 o'clock in the morning with my husband, Jamie. We know it always happens there, as you can see, and it was clear. We've seen the fire brigade come through, we've followed them, and they're just standing around as if nothing's happened. In the clip, it says he's fine, he's on his phone, and then sort of walked away. But what they failed to realise is when my partner actually opened the door, as you can hear, he's on the phone to the emergency crew in panic, thinking he's going to sink. So we could not just sit there and watch. He's absolutely terrified.
Yeah, poor bloke. Well done you. Do you reckon this is health and safety gone mad?
It is, because although I do sympathise with them, they are so red-taped, but surely sort of common sense has to kick in as open the door.
I think the most exciting bit for me is talking to people.
People who I think are ignored often by the major news channels. We're going to give news they want to hear. There's a voice there that needs to be heard. I think there's a chance here for a diversity of opinion to be expressed, which you don't find elsewhere. It's really exciting.
We don't hold back. We're free to say how decisions that are taken here
affect us all around the country. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'd much rather hear what you have to say. So send in your opinions to gbviews@gbnews.com. Keep them clean, and you never know, I might read them out. With my panel here on Jubes & Co, we debate, we get stuck into the issues of the day on a show where all views are welcome, especially yours. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Tom Hanks.
Okay, welcome back to Headliners and kicking off with Friday's Metro, Lewis. And does this give you something to look forward to?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Experts finally explain why celebrities are always getting banged by ghosts.
I don't think we can say that, can we?
I don't know what that means.
I meant to flag that with the
Getting
producer.
intimate
We
with
can't
ghosts.
say that.
You can't say that, but that's what it says in the Metro.
Let's go back in time a few seconds. If you
So anything that mentions ghosts, that's when I stop reading.
Oh, really? So you didn't do your job?
No, I did my... no, of course I... No, I pretended to read the thing. No, nothing can be gained by discussing anything with ghosts.
Well, actually, it's quite interesting because there are two explanations. What are the two explanations?
Well, one of them is sleep paralysis, which is what it is. Yeah. And the other one is that it's actual ghosts, and that some sort of psychic has said, "Oh, it is actually ghosts. It is ghosts." But all I took from it was that Hollywood is satanic. We all saw what we wanted in this story, and it's like a Rorschach test. But look, all these Hollywood people are saying, "Yeah, I've done this with ghosts." Yeah, because you're satanic ghost worshippers.
Yeah, it doesn't really talk about whether it was consensual or not.
Yeah,
good
That's
point.
the other point.
Did they really
the next
mean...
Me Too scandal in Hollywood? Weinstein was probably involved.
Did they really mean, like, have sex with ghosts?
Yeah.
Would Weinstein still harass people after he dies as a ghost?
Probably more so.
Was he
He's been locked away. Well, I used to look like Weinstein when I was first.
Has he learned his lesson?
All right.
Can I tell you why?
Good news in the Times, Nick. Does this mean we all can be alcoholics again?
Yeah, a man given genetically modified pig kidney in world-first transplant. So a 62-year-old underwent the groundbreaking 4-hour operation in Massachusetts. And this guy, and the good news, he's got the pig kidney. He does oink occasionally, but he can find truffles. So that's, pros and cons.
Got some pig jokes. You got a pig joke, Lewis?
I don't have a big joke, but I got a thought about kidney disease because Louis Schaefer is stage 3A, chronic kidney disease.
Sorry to interrupt.
I can't believe you're interrupting.
I know.
Look, he's just sharing his medical history of the world. He says he's about to die, and you're like, oh.
I know people are thrilled to hear that again, but I got really excited by this question. If you guys... You're Jewish, right? Yes. We're on in a sort of a live situation, a desert island or a snowy drift with this guy. He's had a pig kidney. Could you eat him or not because he's got the pig kidney?
You're not allowed to eat human flesh anyway. So
say you could.
Yeah. So either way,
if you're dying,
neither are kosher.
Is there an exception?
I don't know how you do it in Christianity land if you're just allowed to.
But you're allowed to eat pork if you're starving. If you're going to die,
oh,
so
you could eat it.
So if you
then you could use human flesh.
You're allowed to have the pig. You shouldn't eat pigs today because they're made up of too much of omega-6. They're omega-6.
You wouldn't care about that when you're in the snowy drift.
Lewis, would you have a pig organ?
Sorry. You know what?
Again.
I'm so old. I thought, you know what? Anything that would help me along. Anything that would help me. I wouldn't.
This is actually a huge story. This is it's genuinely huge because by genetically modifying these pig organs, we've got like loads of people who are dying every year. Like 1,500 people who don't get the organs in time. This is going to save their lives. There's the potential then, of course, for heart transplants. This is huge.
Yes, it is.
We're just going to have to see if he survives or not. Unfortunately, 2 heart transplants they did. The guys, they didn't survive longer than 6 weeks or so. But it's looking good. So
it isn't looking good. It's a press release.
It's Lewis, this Telegraph story may explain teenagers, but what's your excuse?
Very good, Josh. Josh is on game today.
Yeah, but no one knows like me, Jake. You haven't read the headline.
Teenagers smell goats. They smell of goats, cheese, and urine. Delicious. Delicious. It's basically a carnivore diet. Yeah. It's my diet, basically. And now scientists know why exactly. I mean, this is like the news. It's like they smell.
It is like the news.
Just strangely, just like the news on GB News.
Like the news.
And they know why because they did. I don't know. They didn't say they know why, but they say it's 5-alpha-andro 16 N3
2
and
steroids in teenagers pertaining to growing of body hair. Is the gist of it.
Yeah. So
that's an excuse. But if someone said you smell like a goat, you'd probably say something like that, wouldn't you, to get out of it?
Well, do you know what? I'd own it. Like, my breath is bad. Everyone tells me my breath is bad. I gotta own it.
Yeah, but you should brush your teeth.
It isn't
right,
that.
Good excuse in the Times, Nick, for not getting your
Why do you
that
cut
present
me
you
off?
wanted. This is very last story, very quick.
Yeah.
This is the Hermes.
Hermes sued
Hermes, is that
for only
Hermes.
selling Birkin bags to worthy customers.
Yeah.
So basically, the bags like the elite item, they'll only give it to you if you buy loads of other items, you build up, you go to a secret room and you get the bag. I don't know whether it's approved because it's elitist, which I like, because it's kind of but it's also kind of protectionist, so I don't really know.
But is it legal or not? I mean, it seems like a sort of real scam.
Yeah.
No, that's totally legal. It's not a scam at all. It's saying, hey, you're a valued customer. We'll give you something if you.
No, we'll give you for £10,000 that you have to.
Yes, you know something. You know something.
pigs.
My father had a little bit of a gambling problem when I was in my 20s.
Finding all about you now.
Yes, a lot. I mean, I'm a real person. That's why people love me, Josh, because I'm a real person.
It's a love-hate thing.
Well, they hate me too.
Some
They
hate
me. But,
well, we'll have to find more about your your father's gambling problem on our next edition. The show is nearly over. Let's take another quick look at Friday's front pages. The Daily Mail, new betrayal of WASPy women. Telegraph, sickness benefits bill to rise by a third. Guardian, US toughens stance to call for immediate Gaza ceasefire. Express, pay up, millions of women are owed pension payouts. iNews, WASPy women demand help from Labour. And finally, the Daily Star, Dumbos. And those were your front pages. That is all we have time for. Thank you very much to Lewis with his gambling father. And Nick, headlines back tomorrow at 11 p.m. with Leo, Lewis and Scott. And if you're watching at 5 a.m, stay tuned for breakfast. In the meantime, good morning or good evening.
That warm feeling inside from Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. Good evening to you. Tomorrow will feel colder for all of us. A bit of a damp start in the south and then a mixture of sunshine and showers. Low pressure is dominating, but it's actually sitting up by Iceland. But these weather fronts draped across the UK. This one in particular is doing a couple of things, bringing cloud and rain, but also introducing the colder air. The rain will trickle southwards through this evening across northwest England and Wales. A fairly soggy evening, and that rain spreading into the Midlands and southwest England by the end of the night. The far southeast staying mostly dry, staying pretty mild here, but colder air is arriving across the north. A chillier start here and very gusty winds through the night and indeed for most of Friday, particularly across northern Scotland, but also into the west coast of Scotland. Blustery showers, some snow over the Highlands. Showers elsewhere for southern Scotland, Northern Ireland. A dull, damp morning across the southeast, and the rain may linger in Kent well into the afternoon. But elsewhere, it will brighten up. We'll see some sunny spells, but it will feel colder. Temperatures only in single figures across the north, maybe 11 or 12 further south, quite a bit chillier than it has been through this week. A cold feeling start to the weekend as well. We may start Saturday dry and bright, but the cloud will bubble up, and expect showers on Saturday. Some heavy downpours, rumbles of thunder, hail showers possible as well. And look at the numbers for Saturday. After being in the teens for most of this week, single digits for many of us, it is going to feel a lot chillier.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Time is ticking on your chance to win the Great British Giveaway. There's a massive £12,345 in tax-free cash to spend however you like, along with £500 in shopping vouchers for your favourite store, a games console, a pizza oven and a portable Sonos smart speaker. And the best news? You could be our next big winner, just like Phil.
Didn't quite believe it and still can't. And if I can win it, anybody can win it.
For another chance to win the vouchers, the treats, and £12,345 in tax-free cash, text GBWIN to 84902. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Or post your name and number to GB03 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on Friday the 29th of March. Full terms and privacy notice at gbnews.com/win. Please check the closing time if watching or listening on demand. Good luck.
2024, a battleground year.
The year the nation decides.
As the parties gear up their campaigns for the next general election.
Who will be left standing when the British people make one of the biggest decisions of their lives?
Who will rise?
And who will fall?
Let's find out together.
For every moment, the highs, the lows, the twists and turns.
We'll be with you for every step of this journey.
In 2024, GB News is Britain's election channel.
Big news, big debates, big opinion. Patrick Christie's Tonight is the week's biggest show. Every weekday, 9 to 11 p.m, we've got the inside track on the day's top stories. There'll be sharp takes you won't get anywhere else. We will set the news agenda, not just follow it, and I want to bring you along for the ride.